Good Saturday morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of Outdoors with Larry Rea on 790 The Bet. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, B&M Poles, and Ducks Unlimited. Now, here's your host, Larry Rea.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Rea on this April the 19th. What we say will be a very, very emotional, but also a tribute to our late colleague, Ron Wong. And if I can get through this show today, folks, I can get through anything. And we've got two of Ron's friends in the studio with us, including his kinfolks over here from the Redneck Riviera, or whatever you want to call it, Peanut Quan. Yeah, Redneck Nation. Peanut Quan is sitting here with us. And, of course, he was the cousin to Ron. And a longtime friend, Vic Thayer Jr. Good morning to you, Vic.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Thank you, guys. And Frank Barton will join us later in the show. But we're going to roll through this show, folks, with a lot of guests paying tribute to Ron. I am still devastated. I am still in shock by what happened on that Monday. How long ago has that been? 10 days, 2 days? So something like that, yeah, that Ron passed so unexpectedly. Boy, I tell you, we could have 100 in this show. But we've whittled it down and do the best we can as we pay tribute to the late Ron Wong as best we can. And we're going to roll it right out now with Todd Griffin. Of course, Todd is a longtime friend of Ron's. Not just a longtime friend, but Todd was there that Monday night when everything was going downhill and things like that. And Todd's dad, Lee, you folks know out there from the bass fishing world about the Memphis Bass Club and things along that. Todd's on his way. He's at an airport on this Saturday morning, but we want to talk to Todd. Tell us, Todd, first of all, about you and Ron.
Hey there, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me. So Ron was much more than just a man. He was a legend. He was family to us all.
Yes.
Back in the day when I was just a kid, I remember going to the Memphis Bass Club tournaments and, him and Bill Dance and Charles Spence, Founder Strike, King Lures and all, those were just family of mine. But Ron and I, on to today's world, he and I were chefs together at Whiskey, Wine, and Dine.
That's right.
We do cooks for the Botanical Gardens, raising money for Special Olympics on many occasions, to the Liberty Bowl Gala. My dad was actually one of the founders of the St. Jude Bass Classic,
yes.
And I've got a great photo of him and Bubba Goldberg giving the first check to Danny Thomas.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely. It's a great photo. By the way, I've got a lot of prized possessions that if anyone, in the Hall of Fame, his first place trophies,
oh my!
Things that nature, we'd be happy to donate those to wherever, so his infamy can go on. But anyway, Ron and I were Ole Miss tailgaters together. We were chefs together, and also, every family vacation, or not vacation, but Christmas, birthdays, we all shared that together.
Yes,
so,
you did. And you brought up something real quickly, and we don't have all that, but. The Ole Miss connection always blew a lot of folks' mind because he went to the University of Memphis or Memphis State, played the saxophone, came out of Westwood High, right, Peanut, and everything like that. Right. And how in the world did he become an Ole Miss fan? And he's told me that, but he didn't miss that the Grove, did he, Todd? I mean,
never once. And I had the good fortune to going down there with him, and I tell you, that was just like anything he did was first class. It was the best food and the best friends and family, and I tell you, I'm with you. Making it through this show is going to be difficult because I sure miss him.
Well, Todd, we appreciate it, buddy, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you for your good words, and thank you for being there, right, Peanut? Because you've been there, Todd. Thank you, buddy. Okay, all right.
Y'all
be careful,
have a great
Todd.
day. I got to catch a flight.
Go do it, buddy. All right, and now we got a good man, Bill Cooksey, on the line with us. You the co-host of this show, and how many times have we shared the microphone, Shelby McCall, with him? So reflect on your relationship to Ron.
Well, I mean, I was part of the bonus long week every
That's
month.
right. You were the W, the RW,
yeah, so,
the BW, bonus Wong. That's right. Yeah.
It's fun, really, the shows where we got to know each other, because before that, Ron and I we were in parallel universes, in that area, but I was on the hunting side, and he was on the fishing side. So I'd hear about Ron. I would read fishing reports and listen to fishing reports, and I knew about him and St. Jude Classic, and So all that stuff, I was like everybody else. I kind of knew him more from hearing about him until we started doing the show together more and more. And next thing you know, we talk all the time. And the way he maintained that passion for especially tournament fishing and the whole sport.
Yeah.
And it was fun doing the show with him because he was bringing something totally different, and we would mess with each other. And then it's really special, when I was the editor there at Hunting and Fishing News.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ron, why don't you write for us?
Yes, you're the one who created that. Yeah.
I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Ron. Most of them aren't.
Yeah.
Just put it on paper, and we can make it work. I promise. And that's when he was getting into photography and all.
Yes. Yeah. So many options. And Peanut, when you're listening to that.
Wow.
He sold potato chips, right? You told me. Get up that microphone. It's not going to bite you. Tell us.
He grew up for Golden Flakes back in the day.
Yeah.
Ron's a little older than I am, but not much older than I am. He's older than I am. We used to own a store in Midtown, and he came there and delivered chips to us. But, Bill, I tell you, when Mid-South Fishing News, Joe Seals asked me to write an article one time, and I told Ron, I said, man, I'm not a writer. And he goes, just write on a fifth grade level. And I said, well, that's about all I got. So I did do a couple articles. Yeah, but he helped me through it. Yeah.
Well, he could do it, and I wanted Bill to say that we had the best Mid-South fishing report by Ron Wong.
Yeah.
And he never said anything about. He had all the notes over there, and it was the best fishing report. All right, we got a special guest going to jump in right now. Our man from Odyssey Radio, Brad Carson. And I know, Brad, tell us about Ron and your relation and being part of this.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Yeah. And one of the few reasons I came in here was because of you and Ron.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And obviously your show is terrific, but I think Ron was a major part of that.
Oh, yes.
And I know this show is going to continue to be successful, but we're really going to miss him a lot. And he had a bright smile and a bright ray of sunshine usually coming through the radio airwaves, and then when he'd walk into the hall. Yeah. But I wrote up something, if you'll.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. You're ahead of the game. Good.
Allow me.
Yeah.
Just a few words on Ron today. Here at 790 a.m. in Odyssey, Memphis, we pay tribute to the great Ron Wong, along with Outdoors with Larry Rea, as we honor Ron, a beloved pillar of Memphis outdoors, the community here in Memphis, an Outdoors Hall of Famer, with a passion for fishing and tireless dedication to sharing it here through the Larry Rea Outdoors Show, inspiring countless anglers, including myself, a tip on crappie and more, a trip to Sardis, and as a guide and a friend. Ron's warmth, wisdom, and unwavering support left a long-lasting legacy on every Mid-South dock, lake, and heart he touched throughout America and right here, from Make-A-Wish to multiple other charitable foundations and boards where I saw him smiling and even dealing poker now and then.
Yes, all right.
To his love of Ole Miss and the Rebels.
Yes.
Ron never met a stranger and could cook up the best hush puppies that I've ever eaten. And never met a stranger to invite to eat them as well. So today, we salute you, Ron. We say cheers and thanks and tight lines to our friend, Ron Wong.
Amen.
Thank you, Brad. That's wonderful. And Brad touched on something. You know, I had trouble putting this guest list together for this show, and I wanted to touch a lot of bases. Cooksey knows this, but I couldn't do this show without the most famous bass fisherman of all time, Kevin Van Dam. Yeah. And it took just one email to Kevin. Yes, I'll be here.
And he was in.
And guess who else I got yesterday?
Who?
Sean McKeel.
I saw that on the guest list.
Wow.
What a star-studded event you put together
the
here.
PGA champion.
My goodness.
Yes, and he wanted to be there because of Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
And Ron was always out at TPC Southwind cooking out with the Virgos family and things along that line. And to think about that. So
a mover and a shaker, Ron was. Like, he'd go from the dock to the executive suite. It was quite a range. Yeah.
Well, he's one of those guys that you don't forget. And you do miss, but
yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
No,
Brad.
Thank you for inviting me to come in, and
we're going to carry on.
I'm thinking about you too, Larry.
Well, it's been tough. And it's going to be tough because we zone twice a month, and Mr. Cooksey's already spilled the beans about Bonus Wong, BW. What do we got there? BW, yeah, Bonus Wong. So I guess we'll have to bring in somebody else. But Vic, throw in something there about Ron.
He was just a special friend. You know, we shared the boat together several times in some farm ponds. We never got to tournament fish in the same boat together, but he was just special, man. He taught me a lot out on the water, different baits, different techniques and stuff like that, and just been a long-time friend. Really miss him. I mean,
and you know, he was the only person, and he's always told me this, is the only two-time winner of the St. Jude Bass Classic when it was by itself.
Right.
Now, nobody else wanted to get in the boat with him. I don't know what it was back then, but he did win that thing twice, and he was always down there at the St. Jude Bass Classic with his camera.
Well, he always did a lot for kids, too.
Oh, kids.
That's the big thing. I mean, just he never shied away from any kids coming up and talking to him.
Yeah, and the fishing rodeos.
Oh, yes, that's what I mean, yeah.
That was, and you know that from, from your time and your kids and everybody else is as part of that. And Cooksey, you know that, too. But, you know, we're going to really pay tribute. Try to. And get this lineup, folks. Mark Copley, Gary Mason. How about Sean McKeel? How about Chad Gay, BASS Communications Manager? How about Jeff Smith, Leland's Lures? We're going to have a real special segment with that. How about Deborah Hinks and Samantha Gay? And how about a segment with the Major League Fishing's, all three of them, Joe Opogger, Charity Mullowig, and the boss herself, Kathy Fennell. And we're going to close this show out, if we make it through it, with Kevin Van Dam and Les Smith from the Crappie Compound, where I think Ron could spend his lifetime, and he's in the Crappie Compound right now. I mean, he's up there with the Crappie.
He's catching them slabs.
He's catching them slabs. So let's take our first break, come right back on Outdoors with Larry Rea. Thank you, Bill Cooksey. All right, buddy.
See you, Bill.
See you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Right. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea, brought to you by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, B&M Poles, and Ducks Unlimited.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea on this special edition of what would normally be a BW, Bonus Wong, because we use Ron Wong twice a month. He was such an important part of this show for over 15, 20 years. And we're still trying to recover from losing Ron so unexpectedly. But we're paying tribute to the man, the legend himself. And on this segment, I'm going to open right up with, I can call him a young man. I mean, he's got his roots in 901. He knows and knew Ron up close and personal, and that's our good friend Mark Copley. Hey, Mark, good Saturday morning, buddy.
Good Saturday morning to everyone as well. Yes.
Talk about Ron, Mark.
Absolutely. So, I started at Strike King 2007, and Ron was one of the first ones to welcome me aboard and, just made me feel like I was part of the community. And, man, there wasn't a writer's event that I didn't have that he wasn't there at. And, got to share the boat with him. I was thinking about the other day out off Interstate 40 headed towards Nashville. A little lake that we got to go to and fish today with him.
Peanut knows that lake. Okay, Vic knows that lake too, probably. Yeah, he had a lot of hidden lakes.
Say what lake?
No, don't tell him. No. I know it wasn't Walnut Grove Lake. Okay, I've been out there with him.
Walnut Grove Lake.
Yeah.
But man, he loved throwing a cutter worm, and golly, he just it's like you said, Larry. It's hard to believe. He is incredibly missed, and. But, man, what a great person, and what a bonus for the fishing industry to have Ron. I mean, he leaves this industry better off than it was before he was here.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I appreciate your comments, buddy, and look forward to seeing you in August if you get away from Hot Springs to come up there and see him at the
that's just a quick little trip over there.
We're going to –
feel like I need to be there.
You need to be there, and we're going to talk right now. Mark, thank you, buddy. We're going to let you go and move right on to the man that created on a napkin, I think, the Legend of the Outdoors Hall of Fame with help from his wife, and that's our good friend Gary Mason. First of all, Gary, thank you for being part of this tribute to our late buddy Ron Wong. But he's going in the Hall of Fame, and I think I was so happy to be there that night up at Blue Bank Resort when you told him. And guys, I wish you could have, y'all too, because I've never seen Ron's. It got him, didn't it, Gary? I mean,
yeah, it got him. And of course, Larry, you've been there when we told you were going in, and it surprises people, it humbles them, and I'm sad on one part because we're going to have to induct Ron Wong posthumously.
Yes,
I'm happy on the other end though that Ron's going in, right where he needed to be. Yeah. When we told him that night, of course, he teared up, and we all teared up, I believe, and. And, we all have such a love and such a passion for this outdoors industry of hunting and fishing. And Ron Wong was the most passionate person about that I know, and he was passionate about his friends. But on August 16th in Springfield, Missouri, at the Legends Outdoors Hall of Fame banquet, we will induct Ron Wong posthumously this year. Amen. Ron will be going in with about 8 other people. But Ron is so deserving. He was deserving before he left here, and now even more so that he's gone. And I know Ron is he's probably up there giving Jesus a fishing lesson. So I'm just going to leave it right
there. he probably is. Again, we're talking to Gary Mason, Legend of the Outdoor Hall of Fame, coming up in August in Springfield. And Gary, I know that we're going to have an empty chair, something there, because I know he always told me, Peanut, now he always said there's more Wongs in the world than Smiths. So if we get a lot of Wongs up there, you better open up the windows and let the air in, because we're going to have a lot of people up there at Springfield.
Yeah, I'm more than sure that we will sell out again this year, like we have in the last few years. So if you want a ticket, if you want to come, it's $100 for a ticket, or you can buy a table. Yes. Or you can contact a company that let them buy a table and bring some of their customers or guests, and you come with them. However you want to do it, but just get there. Listen, this is not because I've done it. This is because of the men and women of the outdoors industry. It's one of the most fabulous events I've ever attended. Yeah. And if you leave there without a tear in your eye and joy in your heart, we might need to check your pulse out the door.
All right. Well, thank you, Gary, buddy. I look forward to seeing you up there. Folks, if you haven't ever been, go, because not only it's patriotic, it's got a lot of feelings. You leave better off than you ever were. And like I said, I'm so happy that Ron knew he was going into the fame before passing it, he did. But anyway, thank you, Gary. Have a great day, buddy. Okay.
Thank y'all. Have a great Saturday.
All right. Let's move on to another guest. We got Les Kruger on the line with us, and Les, I know you and Ron go back a long way. Talk about your relationship to Ron.
Hi, Larry, and thanks for having me on. We do go back a long way, back to the old St. Jude Bass Tournament days in the 70s when he dominated, and
he did.
Year after year. And I met him back there when I was a youngster, and then we kind of got our relationship stirred back up, I guess, 10, 15 years ago, and I had the pleasure of fishing with him numerous times.
Yes, yeah.
And I always thought he was the most underrated fisherman that I'd ever fished with. I fished with some good ones.
Yeah.
But he was a humble guy, and I'm going to miss him so bad because I learned so much, but we had so much camaraderie. You know how it is when you get a couple guys on the lake.
Yeah.
And I think of things when he caught this huge snapping turtle and battled him, and and we about fell out of the boat laughing. And I remember days where he would catch 8, 10 bass all over 6 pounds, and I would say, "What are you doing?" And he would say, "I'm just lucky."
Just lucky.
After that, I always called him the luckiest fisherman on earth.
Well, I know that a lot of people said, "Well, Ron, are you catching that same fish every week?" I mean, they look the same. They got battle scars all over them. What are you doing with those things? But he'd kind of grin like he always would and kind of chuckle a little bit and said, I don't know of anybody that enjoyed a day on the water fishing in Ron Wong. I mean,
absolutely.
He was in control, right, Vic? I mean, he was.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. I don't know, Les, when you're in the boat with him. Now, he only took me 2 or 3 times because he knew I'm a failure, but he did try to take, but he always took me to Walnut Grove Lake, folks, where he's the caretaker. How many lakes do you think, Peanut, it was Ron the caretaker of? Ron had more keys than a conductor on a train.
I promise you.
When it came down to that. But you guys had a relationship, but he loved the camaraderie and he loved being around anglers, didn't he, Les? I mean,
he certainly did. He liked the whole aspect of the trip there, the talking about things and, preparing for the trip. And then, like you said, he was going to teach you. If you wound your line up too close to that rod, if you got that bass up too close to the rod, he's going to let you know. I don't care if you was 60 or 70 years old and been doing it all your life. He's going to let you know.
Well, yeah, lesson.
That's what made him,
He was always going to tell you, too, you need to cast it right over there or cast it right over here.
That's right.
Well, Les, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you joining us. I wanted to get you in there, buddy. Take it easy, and we'll talk to you, okay?
See you, Les.
Yes, sir.
All right, Les Kruger.
Take care.
Yeah, and Peanut, we got a couple of minutes in this segment before we go to Florida and talk golf with Sean McKeel. But Ron and fishing, I mean, do you know, did he ever talk to you? Because I know he grew up at Westwood. He was a Chinese, and he told me about how it was hard to get accepted back in high school. He was a Westerner, a Longhorn, or whatever they call him back then. But then he made history at the University of Memphis playing the saxophone. But the fishing part, I don't know who taught Ron to fish.
I think that's self-taught. Some of that stuff.
I think it was too.
I researched. He comes up with some of the wildest things I've ever seen, and he catches fish, which is shocking to me. Because he's taught me a ton of stuff that I would have never dreamed about.
Well,
rigging worms differently, this, that. He's just. I don't know where he came up with that.
That's that West Coast stuff.
That's the West Coast, because he always said he was from the Delta, and everybody thought he meant Delta in Mississippi. No, he was talking about the Delta in California, where his roots were, in the Sacramento and all that area out there. But anyway.
It may be a Chinese ancient secret, and he's not sharing. But
he wouldn't share it with me. I know that. All right. How about it, Shelby? Ready to take a break? How we doing? Got 3 minutes. Let's talk some more then. Vic, talk about that, because I know how much you love to fish and your relationship to Ron. How'd y'all meet?
Actually, we met through Peanut.
Oh, me. Okay.
There
goes that segment.
Well, I've been knowing Peanut and Ron for, 40 years? 40 plus years, something like that.
You knew Vic lived around the corner from you, don't you?
Yeah, we lived on the same street for a long time.
Yeah, well, Alpha Rea and Bartlett.
But I kept telling Ron too that one day I'm going to get that second St. Jude trophy.
Yeah.
I won it one year and came in second, I think the following year, and then third.
Yeah.
But I never could accomplish what he did.
No. Well, nobody else has.
He was phenomenal on that water.
Yeah.
I mean.
And another thing about Ron was he became a pretty nice, good photographer.
Well, he did.
Yeah, I always thought he went to bed with that thing hanging around his neck or something, because he had all the equipment and everything. And we should have mentioned he was named the photographer for the Legend of the Outdoor Hall of Fame last year.
Wow.
Before we went into the Legends this year. But he would take pictures, and I can remember Kent Driscoll of being in polls, the pro staff. He said he was looking for pictures of Ron over the years, and all he found was pictures of Ron that taken of him.
Yeah. Same here. I don't have any pictures of me and Ron, but
I was looking. I couldn't find
plenty
any.
Of pictures of him with my grandkids, my kids, and my family and the others. I don't have any pictures of me and Ron.
And they called him Uncle, didn't they? I mean,
yeah, they all.
Because he went to all your Christmas things and everything.
He was at my house more than he was at his relative's house.
And we're going to talk a little bit on this next segment about his cooking, because the man could cook. The Hush Puppies were famous at your brother's annual affair the day before Thanksgiving every year in November. Harris's.
Ron would do these charity cookouts where we donate fish fries. And we did one for, I think it was United Way, and Penny Hardaway had a night with Penny Hardaway. And we raised more money on our fish fry than a night with Penny Hardaway. So that's really good one.
All right, let's take a break. Come right back on Outdoors with Larry Rea as we pay tribute to the late and great Ron Wong. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea, brought to you by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, B&M Poles, and Ducks Unlimited.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea as we roll into our 25th year on the air, right here, part of the Odyssey family, every Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30 on AM 790. Of course, also out in Brownsville on 1520 AM, 95.3 FM, and in Jackson on News Talk 101.5. And we are attempting as best we can to pay tribute to the late Ron Wong. And most of us are still in shock. Of course, Ron was a part of this show twice a month. In what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. And so I'm trying to squeeze in what may be a Guinness Book of Records. I don't know, Peanut Kwan. I don't know, Vic Thayer. It may be the most guests ever in a radio show. But I wanted to get this. I still call him a young man. He may not think he is, but because we go back a lot of years, and Ron went back a lot of years. And I thought of two people to put this show together because I don't want to make it all fishing and all like that. But some of it's got to work out. And I said, well, I'm going to get the number one man in bass fishing, Kevin Van Dam. It took 3 minutes to get Kevin on and say, I'll do it. Well, about 2 days ago, I said, what's the chances of getting Sean McKeel on and Make-A-Wish and talk about Ron and his love of Make-A-Wish and all the other things? And it took one message to Sean, and he's on with us this Saturday morning. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you doing this, buddy.
Oh, you're welcome, Larry. It's been a long time.
Talk about Ron Wong.
Well, I met Ron, I guess, when Stephanie and I first started hosting a Make-A-Wish golf tournament back in 2004.
That's right, yeah.
And, Ron was really a superstar with Make-A-Wish. I mean, like, if there was a Hall of Fame for volunteers, I think he would be at the top of that list. He gave so much to the kids. Like all of us, we love kids. We love giving them opportunities. And, the kids from Make-A-Wish, they're suffering, a lot, as are the families. And Ron was always first in line to cook his favorites, like pork tenderloin sandwiches. And I always told, I didn't like the kind of the white sauce he put on. I said, hey, load mine up with barbecue, keep the white off. But, he set up every year and he'd drop a cooler off of about 10 to 12 sandwiches every hour or two.
Yeah.
It didn't take long for us to go through them. But like I said, he really was just a great human being and loved the kids. He loved golf. He loved the fish. And he was always a pleasure to talk to.
Well, I know Sean, he sure appreciated it because his charity work is unimaginable, what he did and the time he spent. Not only for his love of fishing, but with St. Jude. I mean, he was part of that. He was so much. He was part of TPC South when you could always find him under one of the trees out there cooking, whether he was with the Virgos family or whatever it might be. But he never, one of the words you never heard from Ron Wong is no. And I know he could cook for 200 or cook for 5.
Yeah. He just really, I would see him too. Even when I was playing more on the tour, they always have Tuesday afternoons. They always had rendezvous on the range.
Yes, he did.
It would gather all the volunteers and all the PJ Tour players and all the caddies, and he was always shoulder to shoulder with Nick Vergas.
Yes, he was.
God rest his soul. Yeah. And two great families, and I was happy to know both of them.
Well, I know. Again, we're talking to Sean McKeel. If you remember, Sean, of course. Christian Brothers high school golfer, won the PGA in 2003, and one of our favorite people that we keep up with and everything as we pay tribute to the late Ron Wong. And I know, Sean, that Make-A-Wish was, like you said, when he started, he didn't just come every 3 years or something. He was part of the team, wasn't he? I mean,
he was. I like I said, the first time that I really met Ron, I may have met him when I was on tour. I mean, I just don't really recall, but really the first time that I got to really know him and know his love of St. Jude, the city of Memphis, FedEx, fishing. I mean, everything. He was just a hero, and like I said, I was really glad to know him, and he is one of the Memphians that will be sorely missed.
Well, Sean, we appreciate you, buddy, taking time on this special Saturday to pay tribute to Ron. Safe travels, buddy, and keep hitting them good, okay, man? All right?
I will. Thanks, Larry. Nice to be on with you.
All right, thank you. All right.
Okay.
Sean McKeel. We're going right it from Sean McKeel to another place that I know Ron boy, he wanted to be there for the Bassmaster Classic. Man, he wanted to be there for that classic, and I think he was there in spirit. If anybody doesn't believe me, I'm going to ask Chad Gay right now. He's the BASS communications manager. He was missed, wasn't he, Chad?
I tell you what, missed. I'm not even sure that's the right word.
Yes.
I don't know what Ron not being at a classic or anything fishing wise. That blows my mind. I think that I had emailed you a little bit a few weeks back, and I said I can't imagine Ron Wong not being at anything. So.
Well, I know when I had to tell you that, and of course we just had the week before one of our favorite shows of the year is the Classic Preview Show, which Ron puts together. And then everything went downhill after that because Ron got sick and he couldn't go to the Classic. And I'd guarantee you it was harder for him to accept that than anything else, Chad, because and that's why later on the show, folks, we're going to talk to Deborah Hinks and also Samantha Gay because they were part of Ron's team when he went to the Classics. And he was part of that team, wasn't he, Chad? I mean, you expected to see Ron interviewing people, sticking that camera in everybody's face. Talk about that relationship.
Okay, yeah. My relationship with Ron, I'm not even sure the first time I met Ron.
Yeah.
I told you, it just seemed like Ron was always there.
He was.
And it's funny, whenever I tend to, kind of hover around and try to help people in the media, be of any assistance. Do you need anything? Every time I'd ask Ron, do you need anything? He's like, no, I got this under control.
Yes.
Like, Ron, you never need anything, man. You're all right. But yeah, he, like I said, he was at everything as far as, and I'm going back even 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going back to my old days when I was with the old FLW. Ron was there.
He was there.
And it's just always been Ron. So when he called me the week of the Classic, I was actually in the hotel lobby, and, I'd talked to you and knew that Ron was sick.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really that worried about himself. He just wanted to make sure I got his hotel room canceled.
That's right.
Be sure you take care of that. I'm like, Ron, I got it covered, man. Just take care of yourself.
Yeah. And I know he had talked to me about Easton, Fothergill winning the Classic and what a great story it was and all these kind of things. And Ron was so pumped up about it because it was a great Classic and we were able to cover that. But thank you, Chad. Tell everybody with BASS that we're going to keep this thing rolling. It's going to go on, but we're going to miss our buddy. Okay, buddy?
Thank you for taking the time, Larry.
Thank you, Chad. All right, Chad Gay. All right, let's switch gears a little bit now. Is this guy an old timer? Well, we call this guy an old timer. I know I'm an old timer, but we're going to talk Carl Graham right now. Good morning, Carl Graham.
The legend.
Hi, Larry, I'm telling you, I feel like I've been around forever.
Well,
I've known Ron for probably 60 years.
60 years. They're both in diapers when y'all were fishing together. I think y'all made some commercials in black and white TV. But you and Ron were part of the Mid-South Outdoors, Channel 3. You did a lot of stuff on that. But he
made so many shows with Channel 3.
Yeah.
And he and I made a lot of them together. But if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you about one of them. We were fishing on a hump.
You got about 3 minutes, Carl. Go, buddy.
In front of the dam at Sardis.
Yeah.
And Ron hung and got it in the boat, a 36-pound catfish.
Ron caught a 36-pound catfish.
He was so exhausted after he caught it. I had to get it on camera. I had to pick it up and hand it to him.
You picked it up and handed it to him.
It's because he was so heavy. And another thing that I want to make sure, Ron Wong, he may be the only person that I know that won the St. Jude Bass Classic twice.
Yep, he is. That's right.
And he's just a fantastic, wiry fisherman. When we fished together, he wanted me to run the trolling motor, and he would fish all around the boat. He would be from one end to the other. Ron could catch fish better than I could, but I could find fish better than he could, and we made a great team.
But he made you run the trolling motor, though, right? I mean,
because he wanted to be fishing and moving around from one end of the boat to the other, and he'd tell me, Carl, move the boat over here.
Well, I know Ron always, and Peanut and Vic, good to see Frank. Frank, we'll get you in there in just a second here, but he always stressed hypothermia, wear your life jacket, because he wanted that to be safe and things along that line, didn't he, Carl? I mean,
he did. And another thing, Ron Wong was a very honorable person.
All right,
that's a good word.
That's a good word.
That's a good word.
He was a very honorable person, and he did the right thing. And I loved him, and I miss him so much. I just can't believe that I'm not going to get to hear his voice anymore. He had a very special way of communicating.
Didn't he, though? Yes, he did. And, of course, I could look across at him over there, and he'd do the fishing report with just a number 2 pencil, I think. I don't even think he had that, and he would tell you lakes I didn't know were in existence anymore. And maybe they weren't, but I didn't care because he could do the fishing report. Carl Graham, we thank you, buddy, for talking with us.
Hey, Larry, real quick.
Well, you got a story?
Anybody that has been in the fishing industry for, let's say, at least 40 years, there's 2 names that people know.
They do, don't they?
And it's Ron Wong and Carl Graham, because that's 2 of the Mid-South legends right there.
It is, Carl. Of course, Carl's living over in Corinth right now, and we miss seeing Carl and having him here and all the fishing rodeos. Man, we could always count on Carl being there for that, buddy. But thank you for taking part, Carl, in this tribute to Ron Wong. Okay, buddy? All right?
Okay, Larry Ray. I love you, bud.
Love
Take
you
care.
too, buddy.
See you, Carl.
See you, Carl.
All right, see you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Great comment, Vic. And, you've been in the room with us. We kid a lot, Frank. Frank Barton is in the room now. Get that microphone. We got a couple of minutes here. We'll talk some more. But having Ron in the room, he would be able to do a fishing report with.
I couldn't imagine how easy it was for him just to rattle off stuff.
That's right, rattle off.
Rattle
trap.
He knows
That's where he got
the name of every
name.
fishing lure, and
he had all of them too.
Probably, if you opened up the back of his truck,
yes,
you knew what kind of business he was in.
Yeah,
but he was funny for me because he was the only non-duck hunter that I knew that enjoyed the opening of duck season.
And why?
And the reason why he enjoyed the opening of duck season is it took less people off the lake fishing. That's why he enjoyed duck season.
Frank just had to come by and say that right there. All right, let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We're rolling along. We're doing really good. We're almost through. Got 30 minutes more. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, B&M Poles, and Ducks Unlimited.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray as we pay tribute to our late colleague and legend, Ron Wong. And I got Vic Thayer in the studio. I got Peanut Quan in the studio. Frank Barton has popped in now in the studio. All of us have expressed what Ron meant to us and so many others. And I think we got a Guinness Book of Records, most guests on one radio show, what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. And we pay tribute to Ron. And this next gentleman is not only going to say some good things about Ron, but he's got something to say that we all need to listen to. And that's our good friend Jeff Smith, Leland's Lures, Crappie Magnet, Trout Magnet. Jeff, welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Hey, Larry, thanks for having me. Honored to be here and honored to honor someone I love very, very dearly.
Well, talk about Ron and relationship, because I know you guys hit it off pretty good. He's had pictures of you and your kid and family things, and everybody says, well, you got a lot of pictures of people that Ron took a picture of, but we ain't got a picture of Ron. So, because he was taking pictures. So
he always was.
Yeah.
He always was. It started with Ron with my son.
Yes.
My son now is 15, but years ago we went to a crappie media event, and Ron was there, and my son was probably only, I don't know, he was less than 10 at the time, possibly.
What's his name?
His name is Lane.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
Out on the dock.
Yes.
And Lane would be out there catching fish, and he was out there with Ron catching fish, and the thing that Lane loved that I don't have a passion for is bass fishing.
Yeah, that's right.
So all of a sudden I look up and Ron and Lane are over at the back of his car, and Ron's just handing him stuff.
Wow.
I'm like, well, who is this guy with my son, right? And so I go over there, and from that point on, Ron became a part of our family, just doing things for us. In fact, my son was devastated when this happened because he was so close to Ron. But what recently had happened, just probably a week before this happened, Lane came to me with a picture.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, Dad, I want to have a car just like Ron. I'm like, come again?
What?
I said, I don't understand what you're talking about, son. He said, did you see the back of his car? I said, yeah. He said, I got a picture here. I want to build this because he has an old car that he said, he's going to start driving here pretty soon. In fact, he's been driving recently.
Okay.
And he wants to put it. If you saw the back of Ron's car, he had 24 rods on the roof of his car.
Yes.
And how they all fit in there, I have no idea. So Lane said, I want to be just like Ron with my car. And when he said that, I knew exactly what he meant. And then when I had to tell him about Ron's passing, it was a very emotional moment for us because Ron's become family. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way Ron was. You just loved him. And we for sure are going to miss him with, the events that we do, but just how he treated my son and us as a business. It's going to be missed for sure.
Well, he treated people like the way he wanted to be treated. And,
he did.
And that was part of it. He just had a gift of compatibility. Now he had his ways. Now we're not going to skip around that, Mr. Relative over here.
Oh yeah, he'd pick you up and move if you were.
Now, hold on, his cousin wants to say something.
Yeah, there's a right way, a wrong way, and Ron's way, and Ron's way was always the right way.
There you go, there you go, Jeff. So, but we loved him for all of that. We put up with all that stuff. I know my son, who's an electrician, was called out to Ron's house one time, and he came back, and I said, well, what was it? He said, I never seen so many fishing poles on the kitchen table. So they never made it to the car, Jeff. Yeah. They were still in the kitchen, but
you didn't have enough room in that car for all those rods.
No.
Sure.
So tell our folks what's special down the road from Leland's Lures.
It's really amazing, the impact he had on us at Grizzly Jig this past year.
Yeah.
Ron come over to me, he said, come here to the side. And he reached in his pocket, and it was like we were doing a drug deal. He said, hey, I need you to make this for me. And it was a cross of somebody else's something, and something he said, I want you to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm on it, Ron. And I put it in my pocket, and it's been sitting on my thing beside my bed since that day. And immediately when I heard about Ron, I went to my mind about that idea, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we are we're having our crappie, our Solipamol getaway at Les Smith's here in just a few weeks, about a month now.
Yeah.
So when we get together, we've been talking about what that color is going to look like, but we are going to have in honor of him in the Rue bait, a color in Ron Wong's honor. And we're going to come up with the name, but it's going to be the Wong color, instead of the right color. We're not really sure what the name's going to be, but it's going to have his name in it. And we want to honor him. And we'll find something good for all the proceeds for that to go to in sales. So we're looking forward to do that in his honor because we want to keep the legacy of this one thought that I've been thinking about since his passing is, it's really a life worth living when you live a life that you serve other people and you catch fish. Those two things, make a life worth living. I believe faith, family, and friends.
Yeah.
And when you're around someone like Ron, you know that life is worth living.
Yeah.
His life will mean something for generations to come because of how kind he was.
Well, we appreciate it, Jeff. And I knew we kind of talked about this in a way leading up to the show, and I just wanted to plug it in there. I know how much he loved your products, and that he loved Lane. I know that.
Oh, he did. He really did.
Well, buddy, you have a great weekend, and we'll stay in touch. Keep me posted, okay?
I will keep you posted on this color so your listeners can get some, and then we can honor him down the road. I appreciate you.
I want to put my order in right now.
Vic's already ordering over there. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeff Smith. Okay,
right,
buddy? Appreciate you.
See you, Jeff.
All right, Jeff Smith. We got Deborah on the line right now. All right.
Yes, I'm here.
We couldn't do a show without a couple of people who were part of Ron's team. When we'd go to the Classic or we'd go to Red Crest or wherever it might be, we would hook up, and I know he would have help. And I know it was always better on the videos with one of these people than Ron. You know, just let him do the video and put Deborah Hinks or Samantha Gay in there and let them interview it. And we got Deborah Hinks on us right now. We're getting ready to talk to Samantha in just a minute. But Deborah, talk about Ron and what he meant to you.
Yes. Thank you very much, and thank you for doing this tribute to our dear, dear friend Ron. So I was first introduced to Ron at the 2014 Strike King Writers Conference at Kentucky Lake.
All right.
Okay. Mark Copley.
Uh-huh.
And he paired us together for a day of discussing our line of baits and tips and techniques and that I like to use. I learned that Ron was primary contributor and co-host of Outdoors with Larry Rea.
That's right, yeah.
And the radio show host out of Memphis. And Ron convinced Larry Rea for me to be his partner in crime to take photographs and provide content by working the Bassmaster Classics with him.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed these times, gaining a different perspective, looking through the lens of my camera versus holding a fishing rod. I soon found out why he loved what he did.
Yeah.
He was a kind, joyful soul with an outgoing personality. I soon learned everyone in the fishing world knew of Ron, and he knew everyone as well.
Yes.
He was also an accomplished chef, serving up great dishes.
Yes, he did.
One in particular was the Ron Wong famous hush puppy.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have any of those?
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of them right now, you know. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was an award-winning photographer, fisherman, and radio co-host. Ron Wong was the complete package. And anyway, I remember, back when Ron and I first met, knowing him the 10 years that I did. But 2020 was very special to Ron, and especially the story that he told me after he caught that big bass on January 1st.
Yeah.
He landed a 10-2 largemouth on his favorite bait, which was a rage tail swim bait, 2.75 on his loose spinning rod, and then he just liked cooking so much, and he would always carry a can of Pam. Did he ever tell you about that? When he would use that on his fishing rods and eyes and everything, but and I'm not really sure which he loved more, pretty ladies, food, or fishing. What do you think?
Well, let's let somebody jump in the conversation here. And we'll find out, Deborah, because we got Samantha Gay on the line, too. And I know that Ron touched not only Deborah and so many other people, but Samantha, you just heard Deborah talking about Ron. I know he really was a life changer for you. And if you're wondering about some of the stuff that he's done, I know what Ron meant to you also. Right, Samantha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He meant a lot. He was a very special man, and it's clear to a lot of people. And I was just sitting here laughing when Deborah said that she don't know what he liked more, pretty women, food, or fishing. Because when you think about Ron, those were three things that everybody would think of probably almost immediately, because he was always surrounded by all of that.
He was, and I know, Deborah, y'all, the relationship there, because and I'm going to share a little bit about Samantha and Deborah, 14-year breast cancer warrior, Deborah. Ron, when Ron hears that, get out of the way. I mean, he's going to help. I mean, that's just part of his charity work, if you want to speak it.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And I know Samantha the same way, because he loved that Fishers of Kids.
Yes, sir.
Your Angler Academy. He always talked about that. He wanted to get gifts for you. So tell our listeners that side of Ron that maybe we don't know about. That he was a helper.
Well,
he was a helper.
He was the most genuine, and he loved to help people, and it was obvious. He did so much to help me with my youth organization, and he was always anytime we'd meet people, he would introduce us, and then the first thing out of us was she runs a youth fishing organization, and I'm a board member on it. And,
and he would step forward, and I know both of y'all right off the bat. We got a couple of minutes here. The news was hard to take.
Yes, sir.
For me, I know it was, and I know it was for you too, because I heard immediately from both of y'all, along with Kay Anderson, another one out of Jackson, Tennessee, that Ron always said she made the best cakes anybody ever met. That was Kay, and Kay has talked too. But I just appreciate both of y'all taking time to be on this tribute, because Ron would have wanted you two ladies on this show, and I wanted.
It's an honor to be able to be on the show to talk about him, and it was an honor to know him and to work with him.
Yes.
And I hate he's gone, and I know a lot of other people do too.
Well, the emotions is there for me, for you, Samantha. I know for you, Deborah, too. Man, it's tough. I mean, I don't have an empty chair over there for him because he was too busy always doing something else, I might just put an Ole Miss hat over there sometime and just let him do that if I can survive. Hey, ladies, thank you for being part of Outdoors with Larry Rea as we pay tribute to Ron. Keep his family in prayers and stay in touch with me, okay? We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Samantha. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Rea, and we're going to the Major League Fishing. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea, brought to you by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, B&M Poles, and Ducks Unlimited.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea as we have Vic Thayer, Frank Barton, and Paris Quan. Who? Peanut Quan.
A.K.A.
Yeah,
Peanut.
That's right. Peanut Quan. So we got the family, we got the co-host, and we got the friend in studio, but we're going to switch gears right now as we pay tribute to our late and great friend Ron Wong that we still can't, I can't handle it so far. And this has been a very emotional show, but I wanted to bring in this trio coming in from Major League Fishing because Ron would have been at the Red Crest this year. He would have been in there to hear Charity Mullenweg sing that national anthem like she meant it. He would have been there to pester Joe Poggart. I know that. And he would have been there for Kathy Fennell just to make sure everything's running right. But he was there in spirit, so we're really happy to have Joe and Charity and Kathy as part of the Major League Fishing team to talk a little bit about Ron Wong and the impact he's had. And I know Kathy, Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, come a long way from that little office back in, when was it, 1982?
Yes, sir.
And where you are right now. And I think, let's go with you, Kathy, before we bring in Joe. Talk about what Ron meant to fishing, Kathy.
You mentioned Red Crest, and it certainly, he was certainly missed there. Every time I'd look around and see the press members or know we were at a media mixer, it was just hard not to see Ron there. And we did a moment of silence for him on the first day of competition because he meant so much to so many people. I can't imagine your loss because I don't think there was anyone closer to him, Larry, than you. But I told the group there, I said, Ron spent his whole career, making us, the rest of us all look good, and I just, I can't imagine a major event, it was hard not to see him there, but I can't think of one in the past that he wasn't a part of. And so he will be missed so much, but he did so much, to preserve the memories and for all the rest of us for years and years. And so we loved him and we appreciated him, and we certainly are going to miss him.
Well, the last radio show he did was our Red Crest preview when we had Hot Defoe and Mark Davis and Joe. I know you and Charity said, do we need to get those guys on the show? But, Ron was sick. He was coughing and he was trying to get through it. And he said, I said, Ron, we may not have a Red Crest preview this year. Oh, we got to have the Red Crest preview, we got to have it. So Ott comes on, Mark comes on. And Joe, I know your job over the years has been spreading the word about the FLW and now Major League Fishing. What part did Ron help you guys in spreading that word?
Oh gosh, I mean that yearly annual show that you were talking about is something that we look forward to every year. And I've been working with Ron for the last 10, 12 years on that show, lining up guests for him and helping him get in touch with everybody. So I mean, he was always just such a huge advocate for the sport, and such a nice, funny guy. I recall him coming to the Cups, and one story that really stands out is we were celebrating Jimmy Houston's 50th year of bass fishing.
Yes.
We were in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And the entire crowd got the blonde wigs.
Yes.
And put on Jimmy Houston's hair.
Yeah.
And I turned around, and there was Ron standing there with bright,
trying to
blonde
find
mop
that picture because he brought me one back too, and we wore them in the studio here, and I can't find
goodness,
it now.
yeah.
Because Ron Wong with the blonde wig. How about that, Peanut? You're his cousin. I mean, you ever seen Ron in a blonde wig? No, and I don't know if we
Not
will.
sure if we want to.
I don't know if I want to, but yeah, that memory, and I know Charity, with your job, lining up the guests, help us with that. Ron was so diligent and so involved in making sure we got the right people at the right time. And I know that it was, what did you say, it was Ron's way, or what was that?
The right way, the wrong way, and Ron's way.
Yeah, the right way, the wrong way, and Ron's way. But talk about him, Charity, from your perspective.
He was just always very great to work with, and he definitely. That's a funny way to put it, because he definitely let me know if he already had people lined up. If I reached out to offer to help, he'd let me know if he needed that help or not. So, it definitely was, what he had in mind for the show, and it was just a pleasure. I only had the pleasure to work with him the last 6 years or so, but he was just always so thoughtful and encouraging, kind-hearted. He reached out on holidays and birthdays, and just always seemed to be thinking about other people. He was just a very kind-hearted spirit, and he was sorely missed at Red Crest. That was just a very acute time, that we were all, his absence was felt there for sure.
And Kathy,
but will be for time to come.
Kathy, I can't tell you how many texts I've gotten, calls, and emails from some of the biggest names in Major League Fishing, wanting to know what happened, what's going on, and all like that. But Ron is like, well, he wasn't as old as me. I'm not going to tell you how old Ron is, but I know how old I am. And old school may not be the right term. I don't know, Frank. Maybe I am. Am I old school, Frank?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. I'm old school. Okay. I'm back there when it was before. We had things called typewriters. And Maxwell Smart talking out of his shoe. That was pretty important for me and Get Smart. But talk about Ron and the job he did, Kathy, because he really helped spread the word, didn't he?
He did, and I think that's what was so wonderful about him. His focus was never on himself. It was always about everyone else, and he did so much just to preserve all these wonderful memories for future generations. And I was glad to see him get inducted, or he's going to now, but into the Legends of the Outdoors, because you love seeing someone who works so hard, generally behind the scenes, to get that credit. And we talk about favorite memories. One of the things that when I think about Ron is he may not have been like a real big man in stature.
That's right.
But I will tell you this: I've seen him organize people like he had a whip in his hand. I mean, when he was trying to get those big group shots, he would crack me up, because he was quick to direct and to get people lined up and in shape, and so I always just. He certainly had a lot of control. He knew how to get the job done.
Yeah, when those big group shots, that was the important thing. But something that we found out since all this has happened, and Peanut being his cousin and Vic being the friend, we realized that we can't find a whole lot of pictures of Ron except for that same bass all the time. But you don't see him with other people. You see him taking pictures of other people.
Always.
And that's what he did. And I know come August, when we're all up at Springfield, and that chair will be empty, but you can't take away the memories that we've got, and we'll carry on as best we can. Hey, appreciate Joe, Charity, Kathy, thanks for taking time from your busy schedules that I know you got going on right now, but I know Ron would have want you three on this show for sure.
I just want to say something real quick.
Yeah, Vic.
just all of our heartfelt condolences from down here to the MLF family and all the fishing family.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We talked about it there, but we say we're gonna be in prayer for what's going on with MLF this week. But just want you to know we got you back. Okay, y'all. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Sure
you.
appreciate that, guys.
All right. Y'all have
You're
a great
welcome.
weekend.
Y'all be
We'll talk.
safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Joel Parker, Charity Mullenweg, and Kathy Fennell, that's of Major League Fishing, wanted to get here on Ron. How we doing? It's about time. We need to take a break. All right. We got everybody but one person. Can we get him on? Can we try to get him on? He may be gone by now or still taking a nap. I don't know, but I'm going to try to get Tommy Aiken on, because anybody knows Tommy Aiken, you know that he had to deal with Ron. The bad thing, he had to deal with Ron and me, and that could be really tough for a guy's health, right, Peanut? I mean, when it comes right down to it. But we'll see if we can get, yeah.
This is Shelby with Outdoors with Larry Rea. How are you doing today?
Yeah, put him on. We got him.
Are you still good for your interview with Larry?
Yeah.
All right. Hold on one quick second.
Okay, we have saved this last segment for the man that I owe more to than anybody else out there for my career. And I just told everybody, if Tommy Aiken can keep Ron Wong and Larry Rea straight at the same time, there ought to be some kind of award for Tommy. But I know we're celebrating and paying tribute to Ron today, Tommy, but Ron Wong was a trailblazer, wasn't he, Tommy Aiken?
No doubt. And you're right. I couldn't keep both of you straight at the same time. If I had you separated, I could do it, but not both of you.
What was it about Ron?
Oh, always smiling, Larry, always laughing. Never heard him say a negative about anything or anybody. He was just Ron Wong. I mean, he was the same whether you were in a boat with him at 4 o'clock in the morning or eating supper with him at 8 o'clock at night. He was always happy-go-lucky.
Yes.
He's happy to be there.
Well, if you could get him in a boat at 4 a.m., you were better than me, because he's not an early person. I think he was early on in his young life, but again.
Well, I never got him in a boat. I just saying that, but he was just as happy when he did get in, whether it was 4 o'clock or 10 o'clock, as he was at 8 o'clock in the evening meeting.
And you know, and we got a couple of minutes. I want to get Tommy in because they've all called me old school. I think we're old school, Tommy. Let's just admit it.
Yes, we are.
And Ron was old school. I mean,
yes, he was.
He loved what he was doing.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, let me tell you a quick story on him, Larry, if you got a minute.
I got a minute.
As we always had the Strike King Outdoor Riders meetings on Kentucky Lake every year.
Yeah.
We invited the very best outdoor rider group that I could assemble.
Yes.
And also all of the Strike King pros. Ron came every year.
Every year, yeah.
He worked from the time these pros got on the water to even after. Him and Kevin Van Dam were always the last two to leave the dock when everybody else was back taking showers, getting ready to go to dinner. That was Ron Long. Dedicated, took everything very serious, and very, very professional at everything he did. And I was very proud to be associated with him for all the years, both socially and as a very good friend as well.
Well, that just leads into the next segment, folks. Y'all stick around because we got Kevin Van Dam coming up next. It took him about 3 minutes to tell me that he wants to be on this show. And that just tells you a lot about KVD and Ron Wong at the same time. Tommy, thank you, buddy.
He tell him about his Strike King days. He will remember.
Oh, I'm going there.
Dealing with him.
I got him. Thank you, Tommy. Have a great weekend, buddy. Okay, buddy.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye.
Tommy Aiken. All right, let's take a break. We're going to try to hook up with him. He's coming up next. We're going to talk KVD, and we're going to talk crappie compound on Outdoors with Larry Rea. Be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea, brought to you by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, B&M Poles, and Ducks Unlimited.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Rea as we roll into our 25th year on the air, and we have completed almost They said it couldn't be done.
World record.
Yeah, world record. I haven't counted how many guests, but I'm going to submit it somehow to something. We'll keep a record on it, but we're going to wrap up this tribute to our late colleague and friend, and he used to call it me, a brother by another mother, that we covered the Mid-South in outdoors from top to finish in what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. And thank you, Vic Thayer, friend, for being in studio. Thank you, Frank Barton, for being in the co-host role that you've done.
Wouldn't have missed it.
And Peanut Quan, I know this means a lot to the Quan family and the Wong family. We'll make sure Debbie, his sister, gets a copy of this and everybody else. But I thought that we'd close out this show with two people that I know Ron thoroughly enjoyed being around. One of them for a long time, since he was a young man growing up in Michigan and making a name for himself in bass fishing, and the other one because the man right across the state line in North Mississippi, the creator of the Crappie Compound. So we're really happy on this segment as we close out this tribute to Ron Wong to have Kevin Van Dam and Les Smith. Kevin, first of all, let's talk to you about Ron. And folks, we know your accomplishments. Man, you've done so much. Ron has been there doing all of your stuff and some of the stuff that you have created. And so talk about the legacy of Ron Wong, Kevin.
Yeah, I can't remember how far back we go, but a really long time.
Strike King days. I know Strike King days for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which Strike King is really basically my whole career, but he was always there at the big events, at the Classic and things like that. Always had that camera around his neck.
Yes,
and,
he did. Yeah.
Taking pictures, asking questions, doing stories, and he was at every Strike King Writers event we did over the years, and we did a lot of them. Anytime we were in the region, he'd be there covering the tournaments and things like that. And even lately, when I basically made the transition from as a tournament angler this past year to television, Ron is there and a huge supporter.
Yeah.
He followed me on all my social media. I see him on Facebook and Instagram all the time, commenting on my posts and things. And he really enjoyed the show. Ron is always the guy with a smile, always positive attitude, and a consummate worker. He really loved the sport, wanted to be a great ambassador and promoter of fishing, and he's just a friend. He's just genuine and always honest, and like you say, just always a joy to work with too. It wasn't like you were working. You're just talking with a buddy, and talking about fishing, and whether it was for an article or a story or just, or your day on the water after a tournament, he's just always a positive guy. And that's one of the things I always appreciated about him.
And we've talked about this, Kevin. He was there when it really started. We're not going to age Ron. I know how old he is. I'm not going to tell him. I know he's younger than me, but old school. We've talked about that, Kevin. Of course, we've got a lot of young whippersnappers and things and all that. Ron put his heart into what he did, didn't he, Kevin?
Yeah, no doubt. And media has changed so much over all of our careers. Yeah. And Ron, he always he made the transition with it. And there's not many people. I miss the old school media days. When you were writing for newspapers and magazines and things like that, and it was just different times. There's nobody more genuine than Ron Wong. There's nobody more caring, no more, more involved and engaged in promoting the sport and fishing in general.
That's right.
You say, obviously, I'm a bass fisherman, but like you say, it doesn't matter, crappie, catfish, just people getting out and having fun, whether it's families or tournament anglers. He was part of all of it.
Well, he always told me, Kevin, that one of the highlights of his life was 2001, 2005, 2010, 2011. Where was he at? He was at the Bassmaster Classic. And
yeah,
who won?
The GOAT.
Yeah, well,
right.
he was at all, whether I won or not. I mean, and so that's what I mean. He was always there, for it. Those are the big events. But even the other tournaments and stuff. Anywhere in the region that
charity
he
tournaments
was close to.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always there. But the Classic is, that's the Super Bowl, and he never missed one.
He never missed one. Kevin, thank you, buddy, for taking time. I know it would have been a really tribute for you to do this for Ron, and we're all going to miss him, but we're not going to forget him. He's
that's for sure. He's one of a kind and really special. I mean, it broke my heart when I heard the news. I had no idea. Like I said, just even as of fairly recently, I'd seen him, we talked, and
that's right.
It was a shock. They just don't make them like that anymore, and the world is not a better place, but he's in a much better place now.
There you go, Kevin.
Amen.
Thank you, Kevin Van Dam, buddy.
Kevin.
Have a great weekend. All right, buddy. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right, you've heard this, Les. I know following Kevin Van Dam, KVD, who's won almost over $7 million through August of 2022. I hate it for you to have to follow Kevin, but at the same time, Les, I think that the crappie compound in Ron's later years was like heaven for him that you created down there in Northwest Mississippi. Talk about Ron, his relationship to crappie fishing. You guys kind of inherited him, but he loved to be around you folks.
Larry, and think no pressure following Van Dam there. Good gracious. It's hard to believe that Ron's gone. He and I were just talking just recently about the Grizzly getaway and him coming down, and we've had so many events here at the compound, and Ron's been, I think, every one of them.
I think he has. Yeah.
I mean, he's just the guy that everybody looks to show up with a smile. Ron's always in the center of attention. I mean, he's so friendly, always wanting to help somebody. Just not too long ago, we were talking about him making his hush puppies.
We
he's done that the last several times that he's been down here at the compound. And, I remember last year when one day he said, "Hey, can I do some sliders for everybody when they come in on Saturday? I'm gonna have them all ready when y'all get here." That's Ron Wong.
Yes.
He's always there to help. He's always got a smile on his face. What can I do to help? Golly, I'm going to miss him. I get tears in my eyes when I sit and think I'm never going to see that smiling face again. Yeah. And he was just he was at all the events. He was at Grizzly when we were up there in February.
Yeah.
For him, man, we were in the B&M meeting, and when it got announced that he was going to be nominated into the Legends of the Outdoors, I'd already gotten my tickets, man. I wouldn't have missed that for the world. And it's no way that I wouldn't have been there to just say, "I'm here to support you, brother." And man, I loved him. He was just like part of the family. Yeah. I'm gonna miss him, and I know I know everybody is. So many people I've talked to since he's been gone, and everybody's just like, "God, I can't believe it."
Yeah.
And
pretty unexpected, and we're talking to Les Smith, Crappie Compound out of Northwest Mississippi. And I will say one thing. I'm going to be short on shirts from now on because Ron supplied me with shirts. Wherever he went, he came back, and I got on one right now. I think I got on one of yours, Les. Maybe. I don't know. But my wardrobe was inspired by Ron Wong because he couldn't wear my size, and he wore the little ones, and I got a little bit bigger than him. But I just wanted to thank you, Les, for coming on Outdoors with Larry Rea. Thank you, buddy. And I know there's a lot of people out there that would have liked to have been on this show, but I appreciate you representing the crappie fishermen out there, because Ron was he was a changer for a lot of people, whether he was cooking, taking pictures, or fishing. He had all three of them done, and I know that that we're all going to miss him. Thank you, Les. Appreciate you, buddy. Okay.
Thanks. Absolutely.
All right, buddy.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey,
all right.
Larry.
Yeah.
Reflecting back on the SEC with me and Ron, of course, he was a big Ole Miss Rebels fan. And
yes, he was.
I'm a big Vol fan, but we would go back and forth, and he would always tell me how Ole Miss was always better than Tennessee, and I would just say, Ron, you are so wrong.
You're so wrong. Yeah. I think Dan said that too a lot to him, but hoping that. But no, I'm a Razorback fan. He knew that, so he'd give me an Ole Miss fan, and I'd wear it, but I'd wear a Razorback shirt over it, just to let him know that. Let me tell you about next week's show. We're going to have get back to normal, try to be it if possible. David Beal's going to step in next week and fill in. We're going to have the two Martys. Marty Marbury has retired from her job with the tourism, Frank, but she's going to continue to do West Tennessee tourism for us. And Marty Roberts, my good friend, about training new pups. I got news pups, so it's called new pups down at his place in Oxford, Mississippi. But Vic, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Peanut.
I want to thank everybody on behalf of the family for all the good comments everybody had. Ron will be missed, but he's here with us in spirit. So every time you picture him, he's here with us. So thank you again for everybody.
And we'll let you know when anything happens, Peanut or myself or Vic, we'll let you know what's going on. But right now we're in a determined as far as the funeral, but we'll let you know. Frank, thank you for making the journey over here.
You bet.
Appreciate you doing it. Shelby, we did it, okay? I hope. Anyway, so this is Larry Ray reminding you I do each and every week. It doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And what else? Get up there. That's the USA.